Aside from the obvious, what are some of the differences between a 6-string guitar and a 12-string guitar? And are there pros and cons about each one? I thought you'd never ask. I'm David Harsh with Guitar Success for You. Maybe you're thinking about adding a 12-string guitar to your collection, or maybe you already have one, but you're interested in discovering more about what the instrument is capable of. Either way, we're going to do a side-by-side comparison today of a 6-string guitar and a 12-string guitar. Be sure and watch to the end because I have a word of caution about something you must not do with a 12-string guitar if you own one or if you buy one. I've been an acoustic 6-string guitar player for over 30 years. I love it. I use it for songwriting, worship leading, recording, and of course, teaching. Occasionally, I've had the opportunity to play a 12-string guitar, whether one that belonged to one of my students or in a guitar store. Once in a while, I've stumbled upon a vintage 12-string gem in a pawn shop. 12-string guitars aren't as common, but they are out there, and there are students of the 12-string guitar who are loving what they're learning. Speaking of learning, several of my students in our membership at Guitar Success for You play 12-string guitars. We recently had a great discussion on this subject, and I'd love to share some of the wisdom we gathered with you. Now, we're all coming from different backgrounds and levels of experience, so if you're just getting started with guitar, you'll have a different perspective from someone who's been playing for many years. Different seasons necessitate different approaches to adding guitars to your collection. There's something special and unique about buying your first guitar or even your next guitar, and spoiler alert, I'll soon be making videos about those processes. Stay tuned. For now, let's turn our focus to today's discussion. This is a 6-string Taylor 810 Dreadnought guitar that I've been playing for about 25 years. And this is a Luna 12-string on loan to me from a local church I've been guest worship leading for. Where might you have heard a 12-string guitar played on a professional recording? 12-string guitars can be found in a lot of different styles of music, including classic rock and folk. Some examples include More Than a Feeling by Boston, Hotel California by the Eagles, Free Fallin' by Tom Petty, Nothing Else Matters by Metallica, Turn, Turn, Turn by the Byrds, and Ticket to Ride by the Beatles. But as you might imagine, an instrument like this can transcend style and genre and could easily make its way into worship music as well. If you have a 6-string guitar tuned to standard, you probably know that from low to high, the strings are tuned to E, A, D, G, B, and E. Let me make a quick clarification, if I may. I say low to refer to pitch, so although this string is spatially above the others, I like to say that it's actually below them in pitch. Another way to think about it is with the piano, which is a horizontal instrument. The notes to the left are the low notes, and the notes to the right are the high notes, right? So if you're cool with it, please go with me here from low pitch to high pitch, saying that from string 6 to string 1, we start low and go up with the notes E, A, D, G, B, and E. A great way to memorize this is Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. I've got the notes here on the clef for your reference. Remember that the guitar is notated in the treble clef, and it's notated an octave higher than it actually sounds to prevent the use of too many ledger lines, especially below the clef. Don't believe me? Here's what it would look like untransposed. So E, A, D, G, B, and E for a standard 6-string guitar. That's the 6-string guitar. But now, let's look at how a 12-string guitar is typically tuned. Well, at first glance, we have the same notes with E, A, D, G, B, and E, but look out, because there are distinct pitch or register differences for the low 4 sets of strings. In a moment, I'm going to play individual notes that correspond to the treble clef notes I've laid out for you. So whereas the 6-string guitar has these ascending notes from the low 6th string to the high 1st string, E, A, D, G, B, E, the 12-string guitar has these notes from string 12 to string 1. High E, low E, high A, low A, high D, low D, high G, low G, and then for the top 4 strings we have 2 identical pitched sets of B and E. Note that the high octave G is still actually higher than the treble B strings and the treble E strings. That's a bit unique. Now, it's worth noting that there is such a thing as a Rickenbacker tuning, which originated in the early 1960s with that specific company. And here's what it looks like, should you have an inquiring mind. Note that we still have E, A, D, G, B, and E, but if you were to strum across the strings, you'd begin with a low E followed by a high E, etc. That's not the way this guitar is tuned. The Rickenbacker tuning has been referred to as a more jangly tone, but really it's just a matter of taste and preference of which way you want to go. The strings are reversed, but if you're strumming, the difference can be negligible. I'd say go with the standard approach, especially if you're just getting started with 12 string. And if you get bored after a while, talk to the shop that maintains your guitars and see if they support the idea of you switching over to the Rickenbacker tuning. They may have concerns based on your guitar model, or they may not. If you want to know which shop I use, take a look at the description below. If you want to know if you can capo a 12 string, the answer is yes, but you will likely need a specialized capo made expressly for 12 string guitars. Let me show you what I mean without a specialized capo. I don't want to get too much into detail with the neck width dimensions, etc., but there will be twice as many strings on your neck, so you'll need a capo that can accommodate that in a balanced way. Let's try out the standard G7 Performance 3 capo on this guitar. It's not as responsive with intonation up the neck, especially with the high octave version of each string. Sort of sounds like a different instrument. But there's good news. In terms of a 12-string capo, I looked up what G7 had available, and they have an adjustable Newport version that's quite a bit less expensive than the Performance 3. Even without trying this specific capo on this guitar, I can tell you that I've never been disappointed with any of the G7 capos I've bought. G7 capo does also make a Heritage Series capo with what's called the compensated string pad, a patented balanced tension capo specifically for 12-string guitars. But be ready to pay a bit more for this specialized product. I've got links in the description for these capos. I'd say strumming is perhaps the most accessible way to enjoy the guitar, especially at the beginning, but throughout a guitarist's journey. And just like we can strum a 6-string guitar, we can also strum a 12-string guitar. Strumming is one of the ways that a 12-string can really shine because all those high frequencies are just shimmering with the octave and doubled strings ringing simultaneously. I like to occasionally flat pick a pattern, varying my down and up strokes. Let's hear what that sounds like on a 12-string. Remember, picking down initiates the high octave string on the bottom 4 sets, but picking up will likely initiate with the lower string. The top 2 sets of strings for B and E are identical, so it won't make a difference there. Now, some people I've talked to have said that individual strings on a 12-string can be plucked with a pick. Man, these are really close together. I'm not sure of accuracy with them being right next to each other. But I think it can be done. What about palm muting? Well, this can be used for entire genres of guitar music as well. On the acoustic, it's very natural. And of course, we can palm mute on a 12-string. It diminishes the ringing aspect, but it still sounds good. I'm very fond of fingerstyle. Here's a pattern with some open drone notes on a 6-string. And here's that same pattern on a 12-string. Do you like that difference? Those higher notes add quite a bit of texture. Similar to the dynamic in play with flat picking, finger picking has your thumb going down, but your index comes up, right? It does mean that it may strike the low G before it hits the high G on its way up. This may or may not affect what you're trying to do artistically. Again, the top 2 sets of strings on B and E are identical, so that wouldn't make a difference. Yes, there are guitarists out there who have altered the tunings of their guitars. I play in over a dozen alternate tunings, but my favorite one is Dadgad. And here's me riffing around a bit in Dadgad on a 12-string. So yes, alternate tunings can be within reach on a 12-string guitar. My only encouragement to you would be to make sure that most of your strings are being tuned down so as not to add strain to the neck. Some guitarists use harmonics as a compositional tool. I love them. Harmonics also happen on a 12-string. If we play just a few, they ring out like this. But if I play harmonics across, say, 12, 7, and 5, they sound almost like a chorus effect. Kind of fun. Now, before we get into the trade-offs and upsides of a 12-string guitar, I would love to invite you to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. We have more great content coming your way, and we want you to know about it as soon as it unlocks. And if today's video is providing you with some value, please leave a comment or even share it with someone who might appreciate what you're learning here. My Dreadnought 6-string has a very full sound, but I also have a cutaway that's not too shabby. Truthfully, I do prefer the sound of the Dreadnought. As for 12-string guitars, they can sound good in a variety of models. This is obviously a cutaway, which allows for higher note access. But that's just an option. In terms of the downsides to a 12-string guitar, which can be subjective, a 12-string takes twice as long to re-string, and the strings are a little more expensive. I do have a link in the description for an Elixir 12-string set. You'll definitely want to be very deliberate as you re-string a 12-string. As I talk about in my video about how to replace a broken guitar string, it can be really frustrating if we put the wrong string through the wrong machine head and clip it, only to realize it needs to go in another spot, and now it can't quite reach. we'll have to buy another whole set of strings unless we buy our strings in bulk, which I've done in the past. So restringing is a bigger story. It also takes twice as long to tune, but if you've practiced the art of tuning and you have a good, precise tuner, maybe like the Peterson Strobo Clip tuner I linked to below, you should be good to go. Remember, you're fretting 2 strings per finger with a 12 string. That's just part of the experience, and it takes a little more strength, especially depending on the action. Conversely, on the plus side, if you break one of your strings on a 12 string, you still have the other one holding a same or similar pitch, whereas with a 6-string guitar, that string is gone. But there's nothing quite like the sound of a 12-string guitar. It sounds lush and full, and that might be worth it all. So, is the juice worth the squeeze? You be the judge. Maybe leave a helpful comment to encourage those who are watching this who might be considering taking the leap to buy a 12-string. Here are a few more thoughts. If you're going to buy a 12-string, remember that the timing and nuance of this purchase depends on your season of playing. If you're just getting started as a guitarist, a 6-string guitar is probably what you want to start with. Start simple, see how it goes. Give yourself time. If you've been playing for a few years and you want to expand the sonic signature of your playing, a 12-string guitar might be just the thing to take you to that next level. Before you buy one though, go out and play a bunch of them. See how they sound unamplified, but also amplified if they have a pickup. Here's this 12-string unamplified. Which you've heard for all of our time today. But now here it is plugged in through a simple acoustic amp with very little EQ. Note that this guitar has a 1/4-inch jack, which is pretty common, as well as an XLR jack, which is not nearly as common. I've only seen this feature on a handful of guitars. Regardless of which brand of guitar you get, you need to like the way it sounds. I'm less concerned with the name on the headstock as I am with you enjoying the way the instrument serves your purposes. If you go to a guitar shop, don't be afraid to take someone with you. If you're going to shop online, which I have mixed opinions about, invite someone you trust to speak into your journey as you research guitars. Please take your time with a purchase like this. Now, I mentioned that I had a word of caution about something you must not do with a 12-string guitar if you own one or if you buy one. Here it is. Please do not hang it on your wall and only stare at it, or put it in its case and forget about it. A guitar is meant to be played. It's not a decoration. It's not something that's used to fill up space in a closet somewhere. It's an instrument. So go buy or borrow a 12-string guitar, or if you have one, go play it. Or go play whatever guitar you do have, but play. Enjoy music. It's a fair and glorious gift from God, and it's such a delight to discover and then to share. And hey, if you're looking for a way to get your strumming hand in better shape, I encourage you to check out this 25-minute strumming workout video that our subscribers are absolutely loving. It works on a 12-string guitar as well. No chords required. I'll see you there.